are live in Banjul, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. This is GRTS News. Our top stories: strengthening relations. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure embraces Japan's plans to support Gambia's development initiatives. A tour of public institutions as the Public Service Commission commits to see efficiency in the public sector. Government and FAO launch the Social Behavioral Change and Communication Caravan of the EU-funded Food Fortification Project to fight hunger and malnutrition in the country. In football, Scorpions are through to the group stages of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, and the Turkish troops continue the offensive against Kurdish fighters deep into Syria amid mounting pressure on Ankara to halt the offensive. All that and much more coming ahead in the news. Thank you for joining us. I am Madeleine Baji. Japanese ambassador to the Gambia disclosed his government's plans to support the Gambia's development initiative, particularly in the areas of agriculture and health. The Japanese diplomat made the disclosure during a courtesy call to Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure at State House on Tuesday.
Happy to meet Madam Vice President, because she attended quite recently TICAD meeting in Japan. So it was the Tokyo International Conference for African Development. So we had that meeting with the head of states of Africa to discuss African development. So we discussed this time. I'm very happy to meet Madam Vice President, because she attended quite recently TICAD meeting in Japan. So it was the Tokyo International Conference for African Development. So we had that meeting with the head of states of Africa to discuss African development. So we discussed this time, myself and Madam Vice President, about that meeting, and we agreed to do very good follow-ups. So after TICAD meeting, we have a lot of already projects for the Gambia. Last week, I signed the food assistance program, and I attended the medical equipment handover ceremony. So just tomorrow, I will attend agricultural equipment handover ceremony. So those areas such as agriculture or health, we are doing very good job together. But that's not all. For example, in the water area, now our development agency, JICA, is making studies to elaborate water supply projects in rural areas. So we are very happy that project would be elaborated, and we do our good partnership for supplying.
The Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabre, on Tuesday presided over the official launch of the Small Ruminant Production and Enhancement Project. Khadijatu Jallo reports the multi-million-dollar scheme bankrolled by the Islamic Development Bank aims to enhance small ruminant production in the country.
The livestock subsector has a decisive role to play in ensuring food security and the country's overall economic growth. In view of this fact, agricultural officials described the launching of this vital project as one of the biggest interventions by Islamic Development Bank. The permanent secretary of Agriculture, Lamin Kamara, said the project was in line with the National Development Plan.
Our National Development Plan is in sync with this project. Because if you look at the plan, few of the flagship projects that are highlighted in the National Development Plan is a livestock value chain.
The Minister of Tourism and Culture, Hamad Ba, hailed the efforts of former Minister of Finance, Amadou Sane, and agri officials for the crucial role they played in the initial design of the project being launched today. He urged Gambians to take ownership of the project and make the most out of the opportunity in order to put an end to the importation of livestock for consumption.
I think the time has come for us Gambians to look inwards. Why do we have to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars every year to go to foreign countries to buy rams for our Tobaski, using our foreign exchange, when we have the fertile land, we have the Gambia River with fresh water, we have all the means and facilities to do it.
The IDB team leader, Dr. Suleiman Kebe, lauded the commitment shown by officials of the Agriculture Ministry and stakeholders in packaging a project that was eventually considered for funding by the IDB.
This project relied on the expertise in this country to sort out the problems and come up with solutions and make a package that the IDB could not refuse to approve.
In her launching address, the Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabure, said the project will be implemented in 39 districts across the country. She noted that the project has 4 components, including access to finance and capacity building, amongst others.
The project is 4 years project and will be financed through a 2-step financing approach and will consist of 4 major components. Component 1, improvement of small ruminant production, processing and marketing, access to Islamic financing and support to capacity building, master plan development for livestock value chain, for project management and the coordination. The total project cost is $26 million.
The beneficiary spoke highly of the project, saying it will help boost the production and productivity of small ruminant and by extension their economic status. The launching ceremony was graced by 5 ministers who came to show solidarity with the Agriculture Minister. According to officials, the project, if implemented as planned, will reach more than 30,000 households engaged in small ruminants production. Khadijatu Jallo, reporting for GRTS News.
The 16th of October each year is World Food Day, a moment reserved to raise awareness and stimulate action for the need to achieve zero hunger as well as ensure food security and nutritious diets for all. And as the Gambia braces for the day, a statement from the Agriculture Minister said the country is on the right track for food for security.
Improving food security and nutrition in the Gambia through food fortification, fighting hidden hunger through biofortification are the overriding messages coming from the launch of the Social Behavioral Change and Communication Caravan of the European Union-funded Food Fortification Project. The
Gambia joins the rest of the world to commemorate World Food Day tomorrow, 16th October, on the theme, Our Action are Our Future. Healthy diets for a zero hunger world. The day which marks the birthday of the UN Food and Agricultural Organization calls for action to make healthy diets available and affordable to all. The theme is indeed very apt and timely. Like many other countries around the world, the Gambia is faced with food insecurity and malnutrition challenges, as well as the increasing trend of climate change impacts. Addressing these challenges to mark healthy and sustainable diet, accessible and affordable to everyone required collective partnership. The government of the Gambia recognized food security and malnutrition as very important pillar for the attainment and the national development targets. This is why both sectors have been accorded high premium in our National Development Plan 2018-2021. Agriculture and food systems must become more resilient, productive, inclusive, and sustainable for the achievement of zero hunger.
The government and the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization on Tuesday launched the Social, Behavioral Change and Communication Caravan of the EU-funded Food Fortification Project. Uminjai reports the scheme aims to improve the nutritional and health status of the vulnerable population, with particular focus in mitigating micronutrient deficiency in the country.
Improving food security and nutrition in the Gambia through food fortification, fighting hidden hunger through biofortification, are the overriding messages coming from the launch of the Social, Behavioral Change and Communication Caravan of the European Union-funded Food Fortification Project. The project aims to improve the nutritional and health status of vulnerable populations from micronutrient deficiencies throughout the Gambia. The group is specifically targeting women, girls, and children in the North and Central River regions of the Gambia. FAO representative to the Gambia noted that micronutrient deficiency is a huge challenge in the Gambia. This, she said, her office under the launch project is collaborating with many NGOs and government to ensure the consumption of fortified foods.
Over the years, the government of the Gambia and the partners have worked hand in hand to reduce acute malnutrition and stunting, and I'm pleased to share with you that in 2010, stunting in the Gambia was at about 24%. By 2018, this had been reduced to about 19%.
The project launch coincides with the celebration of World Food Day, a day that is commemorated to promote awareness and action for those who suffer from hunger, and as well ensuring food security and nutritious diet for all.
And as we reflect, as we are sitting here, let us remember that there is a good number of people who are not able to afford a daily decent diet, let alone a nutritious one. So days of this nature always keep us in mind that there is something happening, and as much as some of us are happy to be able to provide our 3 square meals, there are a good number of mankind in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, and even in America who are not able to get such an opportunity.
This year, focus is shifted to the production of fortified foods and biofortified crops, encouraging its consumption to ensure a healthy population. Food security remains high on the EU's agenda. The body has been actively engaged in funding projects aiming for the same drive.
Financial actor in terms of food and nutrition security, with around €20 million of development grant aid programmed in 2016 and 2017, and presently under implementation. More specifically, the reduction of stunting and wasting was included as a major component under the European Development Fund Envelope B post-crisis response to food and nutrition insecurity projects being implemented by the FAO, WFP and UNICEF.
The launch of the project will be followed by a sensitization and awareness-raising nationwide caravan on healthy diet. The permanent secretary at the Office of the Vice President officially launched the project. He outlined the Gambia government's efforts in ensuring the consumption of biofortified. He further highlighted that the Gambia government will continue to work closely with implementing partners to realize the targeted goal of the said project.
The government of the Gambia is committed, and we will continue to be committed to reducing and eliminating micronutrient deficiencies by ensuring food and nutrition security for the Gambian population.
The project is being funded by the European Union. Players in the food protection business renewed their commitment towards ending malnutrition in the Gambia. Celebrations of the day wouldn't end without authorities promoting the slogan, "Did you eat your vitamins and minerals today? Consume more micronutrient-rich foods for a better health." Ominjai, GRT.
The government and the partners are validating the National Action Plan for the Gambia for UN Decade of Family Farming 2019-2028. The Network of Family Planning, the Gambia and World Rural Forum are leading the process funded by the Food and Agriculture Organization. Usman Mane reports the event brought together stakeholders for a more coordinated agriculture value chain.
Working towards the Sustainable Development Goal 13, thus climate action, and agriculture is key in responding to climate change. Under the supported FAO project, Adapting Agriculture to Climate Change in the Gambia, the National Action Plan for the Gambia, a working document for the next decade, aims to effect investment in agriculture. A platform for policy dialogue among stakeholders. Deputizing the Food and Agriculture Organization representative to the Gambia, Hadijatul Lamin Jai, noted the emerging threats of undernourishment and poverty due to environmental and climate variability in Africa.
Africa remains the continent with the highest prevalence of undernourishment. 26% of the population is affected. 20 million people are food insecure each year during the lean season. The majority of people who on agriculture and pastoralism are affected by the adverse effects of climate variability, soil degradation, and displacements due to conflicts. We are faced with increasing pressure to provide sufficient, affordable, and nutritious food for ever-growing population in a challenging environment with the highest youth dependency ratio in the world.
She noted that family farming has gained prominence in agriculture across the world to provide holistic approach to balanced development to achieve food self-sufficiency.
Family farmers, including pastoralists, fishers, indigenous people, and other key producers, are a key part of this equation. They are the major food producers, investors, and the backbone of the rural structure. Family farming has been gaining prominence and global attention since 2014, which was designated the United Nations of International Year of Family Farm.
In his keynote address, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Musa M. Huma, said the draft action plan underwent a participatory process by stakeholders in agriculture to align with the National Development Plan 2018-2021.
At the country level, the National Action Plan for the decade is aligned with the National Development Plan of Agriculture, example, the GNIP, and articulating around the mobilization and furthering programs of the policy reforms and investments such as the promotion of strategic products for food security and sovereignty intensification.
He reaffirmed government's commitment to make agriculture a viable sector for sustainable growth and development towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2030. The coordinator, Network of Family Farming, the Gambia, Muhammad Fainke, said the action plan will identify responsibilities of various stakeholders towards project sustainability in the agriculture sector.
We want exactly the policies take into account family farming. Their strategies take into account the direct investment on family, because you look at all the projects, the sustainability of the project is the family. The ownership, because we want to take ownership of the project and program implemented by the Gambia government. So, but currently, when the project is in, when everybody ends, is it that we are going to continue? That's why we have this ideology, to make sure that projects now should be owned by the families, and the family will continue. When the projects end, the family will see the ownership on it.
He noted the Gambia is the second country to develop a national document towards a sustainable family farming for food self-sufficiency and economic growth. Usman Mane, GRTS.
The Turkish ambassador to the Gambia has convened a press briefing on the ongoing invasion of Kurdish towns on the Syrian border. The top Turkish diplomat in the Gambia told journalists Operation Peace Spring is designed to prevent a terror corridor at the Turkish border with Syria and as well help create a safe zone to resettle millions of Syrian migrants currently living in Turkey. Fatu Elika Mulushi reports.
2011, the Syrian conflict has wreaked havoc on the country, killing tens of thousands and displacing millions of Syrian people. The situation has been exacerbated by a massive power vacuum in the country, where different geopolitical players are involved, including an ISIS caliphate that has been and diverse militant groups laying claim to territory has subjected many to forced migration, seeking refuge in the neighboring countries and, for the most part, Turkey. Up to 4 million Syrian refugees reside in Turkey, which has an existing agreement with the EU to curb European migration and serve as a protective corridor. But an increasing Kurdish influence and what Turkey views as a window of support for terrorism inside its borders has driven Ankara towards a focused policy to reinforce its northern boundary, and hence the launch of Operation Peace Spring to fight all sorts of terrorism along the Syrian border.
From the beginning of this war in Syria, I mean since 2011, Turkey stated that we respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Syria. But at the same time, we will not tolerate any existence of the terrorist elements, terrorist organizations or presence on the Turkish-Syrian border. So what Turkey is doing, by this Operation Peace Spring, is to wipe out these terrorist elements from this border, along this Turkish-Syrian border, so that we want to set up a safe zone.
As at October 14, Turkey claims to have neutralized more than 4,000 terrorists and has conducted 2 major counter-terrorism operations in northwestern Syria, which the country says is in line with UN Security Council resolutions.
These terrorist elements, they tried to use this border region to stage attacks, terrorist attacks towards the civilians on the other side of the border in Turkey. And so far, hundreds of mortar shells, hundreds of the attacks, terrorist attacks, have been carried out by these terrorist elements, and unfortunately, more than 200 civilians they lost their life, during this process.
While considering all efforts to protect the Syrian border, the Turks are conscious of the fact that the Syrians will need to enjoy their rights and liberties in their own country. This, according to officials, is a major reason behind the operation, which seeks to create a safe zone for the resettlement of millions of refugees currently residing in Turkish communities.
We are waiting. The things, have been smooth, and the things will be under more control, so that there could be chance, for the civilians to go back to their homeland. Of course, this is very essential that this corridor, the Syrian-Turkish border. I mean, we are against any formation of, terrorist corridor. We will not let this border to be used as a terror corridor.
According to the ambassador, the Syrian National Coalition and the interim Syrian government, as well as tribal leaders, have expressed support for the operation, adding that Turkey's counter-terrorism efforts in the region will contribute to the territorial integrity and the unity of Syria amid the disruption of separatist agendas. Reporting for Grts News, I am Fatu Elika Mulushi.
The Gambia Armed Forces hereby informs the public that it will conduct a live firing exercise on Wednesday, 16th October 2019 at the Lance Corporal Bojang's Memorial Range in Birkama in the West Coast region. The public, especially residents living around the range, including Birkama, Kasakuda, Jalambang, and other satellite villages, are urged not to panic, but cautioned to avoid the designated area on the above-mentioned date. A move to maintain an effective and efficient service as officials of the Public Service Commission kickstart a tour of public institutions to gather first-hand information on quality service delivery. Their first port of call was the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, which is also understood to have constituted the largest number of civil servants in the country. Samuel Ba reports.
Mission to public institutions with the sole aim of gathering first-hand information as an appointing authority. The basic and secondary education subsector constitutes between 40 to 45% of the civil service workforce, and perhaps the right reason to begin such a mission.
We have reduced our burden. You see, we are not envious to the fact that we are passing some of our delegated authority to you, because you're reducing the body. This is why we want to replicate it. We want to replicate it to other major ministries. Yours is actually the biggest ministry in terms of, I think, personnel complement, your manpower, demand to strengthen your position and discuss further issues that might be useful for the better improvement of your utilization of your manpower.
I don't know what really MOPSI can do to deter teachers from moving away from the teaching field to other fields that are not relevant to education.
The Public Service Commission MOPSI Roundtable is the first of its kind and provided a platform for education experts to know whether they had been measuring up to the expectations of the Commission.
I can't remember any time that PSC has left their office to come to the ministry to sit with us. And that trust is what allowed you to divulge some of your powers to us through the CPAC. And for that, we are very, very grateful. We are the biggest chunk of the civil service. And for that reason, being the biggest chunk of the civil service, I'm sure if we were not collaborating with each other, if we were not working hand in hand with each other, if you did not have any trust in us, it would have been chaos.
The Public Service Commission has mandated the ministry to handle issues of teacher promotion, appointment, transfer, and discipline through a specialized committee called CPAD. Permanent Secretary Ibrahim Sisao explains how decisions are sometimes reached on behalf of the Commission.
We are closer to the people. If we are given the opportunity to take decisions on them, it might be more efficient and then more relevant, and especially under the watchful eye of PMO and PSC, who would have been there to guide us to follow the rules and regulations.
Principal Education Officer Fatou Jallo gave a presentation on some of the activities of the Committee for Promotion, Appointment and Discipline of Teachers, CPAD. It has been a fruitful and interactive first day of engagement between officials of the Public Service Commission and their education partners. Samuel Ba, GRTS.
We'll take our first break. The news returns right after.
Gaitaf Special Economic Zone is a 160-hectare mixed-use business park strategically located within the boundaries of Banjul International Airport, the Gambia. It is the only economic zone located within an airport in West Africa. Gaitaf Special Economic Zone is segmented into 4 separate zones: Commercial Zone, Industrial and Manufacturing, Logistics and Warehousing, Residential Zone. It is a highly secured economic zone with top-notch infrastructure, with eco-friendly buildings and beautiful landscaping. With attractive incentives and access to a pool of labor within the Gambia and the sub-region, the Gaitaf Special Economic Zone has already completed warehouses available to investors. Located less than 30 minutes away from the international seaport of Banjul, investors in the Special Economic Zone will enjoy a unique proximity to major markets around the world, including Africa, Europe, America, and Asia. For additional information, please visit www.gaitaf.com.
Fabakar bari be campagne bakal bi ko bitu yaje de fanol be fer nori ngakuro di bintala binta ko fonga sofi sabu le nyini munam sofi sabu te Babakare Sophie sabu wo musafu no kuto ni lafta kuro bete mal asinuma ani atari aring sabu Sophie doronne yono imaje Sophie la safu no kukuto letide asila fano lukoi ima fete fete Sophie la safu no sero be diaring adabe sone yari asila fano lukoi ima fete fete Sophie la savno yonta le mati wara mal bejele domande ulu bejele asila kuri fengulu koi ima fete fete isa soto no le bitiko lubeto asila fano lukoi ima fete fete sabu Sophie nyontanga le mati
For the first time in the Gambia, your favorite GSM operator, Africell, is the first and only GSM operator to launch a brand new technology called the eSIM. The eSIM simply means you can use your phone without a SIM card. Do you have an iPhone 11, any of the iPhone X series, a Google Pixel 3, or any new phone that supports the e-technology? Visit any Africell customer care center. Activate your eSIM today. With your virtual Africell SIM, you can use more than one number without having a physical SIM card in your phone. Enjoy this brand new technology for the first time in the Gambia, brought to you by Africell. eSIM, your phone without a SIM card. For more information, please call 111. Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow. For the
Welcome back. Now, Syrian army troops deployed forces in the northern part of the country to counter Turkey's operation against the Syrian Kurdish group YPG. The U.S. is threatening Turkey with sanctions, but the Turkish president said he's determined to move forward. All the while, towns on both sides of the border are feeling the impact of the ongoing offensive. And listeners, that there brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a reminder of our top stories. Strengthening relations, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré has embraced Japan's plans to support Gambia's development initiatives, a tour of public institutions as the Public Service Commission has committed to seeing efficiency in the public sector. Government and FAO have launched the Social Behavioral Change and Communication Caravan of the EU-funded food fortification project to fight hunger and malnutrition in the country. In football, Scorpions are through to the group stages of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, and the Turkish troops have continued their offensive against Kurdish fighters deep into the Syrian amid mounting pressure on Ankara to halt the offensive. And that is all in this edition of the news. Many thanks for being with us. Do stay tuned to GRTS. We'll bring you more news at 2200 hours.